Hi everyone. So now we will be going to discuss performance optimization for Express applications. So there are various methods to optimize the performance of our applications, Express applications. One is caching, another one is clustering, load balancing, database optimization. We have compression, CDN, that is content delivery network, asynchronous code, limit payload size. So all this we will discuss one by one. So firstly, we will come to caching. So how caching improves the performance of our Express application? So caching improves performance by storing frequently accessed data in memory so that it can be retrieved faster without refetching it from the database. Okay, so we use Redis for distributed caching, and it is a powerful in-memory data store used for caching, especially in the distributed environments. And in distributed environments, applications are deployed across multiple servers or instances, allowing them to scale and handle large volume of traffic. Okay, so the main purpose of caching is to store the frequently accessed data in memory so that it can be retrieved faster without refetching it from the database. Okay, so every time we do not need to go to the database and fetch, because it will take some time, it will run some code there, and it will take some time to fetch from there. So better to store them in a memory to retrieve it faster. Okay, so now we will discuss some basic code, how caching works. We will import the Redis library for this. So firstly, install Redis npm I Redis. Let's check it is currently in package.json or not. So Redis is currently not there, so we need to install it. So once Redis is installed, we can import the Redis library. Import the Redis library. Okay. So how we can import? Const Redis is equals to require Redis. Okay. So we have imported the Redis library. Now what we want to do? We want to create a Redis client to interact with the Redis server. Const, we need to create a Redis client. Create a Redis client to interact with Redis server. So const Redis client is equals to, we have created the instance Redis. Okay, dot create client. This is how we create a Redis client. Okay, so now we want to define an endpoint for handling the GET requests. Let's define a endpoint for handling GET requests. Let's say to data. Application dot get. This is the endpoint data. Async request comma response. Okay, so now we want to attempt to retrieve the data cached in the Redis using key data. What we want to do? We want to attempt to retrieve the data cached in Redis. Because before going to database, we need to check in Redis. Like if there is some data in Redis, we can get that. How we will get that? Using the key data. So Redis client dot get what's the key data async err dot cached data. This err, if there is error occur during the Redis operation, then we can log that. Okay. So like we check, firstly we will check if an error occurred during Redis operation. If there is an error, then we can log that if error. Okay. We will console this error, console.log, console.error. Okay. Error during Redis operation. Okay. And we will console that error. Okay. Then we will return the response as status response as 500 because there is error. Return res.status 500 dot send. What response we will send? Error accessing cached data. Accessing cached data. Okay. So we are sending a 500 response to the client and sending message as error caching, error accessing the cached data. Okay. So what if there is no error? Okay. If cached data is there means, okay. If cached data. So now we need to keep console data cache hit. We have hit the cache. Okay. And data received, data retrieved from Redis. Okay. So if there is an error, it will console the error, like error during the Redis operation, error accessing the cache data. And if cache data is there, then we will give the message as cache hit, data retrieved from the Redis. Okay. And we will send the response as return res dot send. What we will send? Cache data. JSON dot parse cache data. Okay. So we are send cache data to client. Okay. So if there is no cache data is found, so what we need to do? We need to fetch the data from database. Suppose if no cache data, okay, then what we need to do? We need to fetch the data from database. To fetch data from database. Okay, so there are three possibilities. Like first one is when we are accessing the cache data, if there is error, then it will log that error, and if there is cache data, we are able to fetch it, then we can retrieve the data from the cache data. Otherwise, if there is no cache data is found, we need to fetch it from the database. Okay, we will console it. We will write cache miss fetching data from DB. Okay, then how to fetch data from database? Const data is equals to await fetch data. We will call a function to fetch data from DB. Okay, this is how we fetch the data from database. Okay, and we have fetched the data from database. Now what we want to do? We want to store the fetched data in Redis for the future request. Store the fetched data from DB. Okay, in Redis for the future requests. Okay, and what we will do, and we will set the expiry time also, like after 60 seconds that data should expire. Ex, we will set the ex, set the key to expire after 61 minute. Okay, 60 seconds. Okay, so how to store the fetch data from DB in Redis? We will do Redis client dot set, okay, this data which we have fetched, comma, JSON dot stringify, then data ex. We will set the expiry time ex to 60. Okay, so this is how we store the data in Redis. Okay, so now what we want to do, we will send the freshly fetched data back to the client. Send the freshly, we have stored the data to our Redis. Now we want to send the freshly fetched data back to the client. So res dot send data. Okay, so this is the concept behind Redis. So what we have done, we have firstly imported the Redis library. Okay, then we have created a Redis client to interact with the Redis server. Then we had defined a endpoint for handling the get request to data. Then we are attempting to retrieve the data cached in Redis using the key data. Okay, so if some error occurred, we are consoling the error and we are sending 500 response, error accessing cached data. Okay, and suppose if there is no error, then we are consoling cache hit, data retrieved from the Redis, and we are sending cache data to back to the client. And if there is no cache data is found, we need to fetch the data from database. Okay, and suppose we have fetched the data from database, then we need to set it in the Redis client. Okay, so that we can access it from there. Okay, so we are storing the fetch data from DB in Redis for the future request, and then we are sending the freshly fetched data back to the client. So this is the concept of caching, and we will learn about other performance optimization in the further videos.